I see a lot of entrepreneurs marginalizing themselves on slight margins. Why? They get the absolute misconception and misbelief that lower prices means better business, and they are competing with existing businesses by trying to lower their prices in order to compete with those businesses and get those businesses out of business. But they end up getting out of business because they've marginalized themselves with slight margins and they've thought that cheap things are cheaper. But when you can see cheap things are more expensive, and to show you why and why you should avoid selling yourself cheap in the industry, watch this video and learn.
It's my acechina. I'm an expert global business solutions expert and your real estate success strategist known as the mayor of house.
Welcome to my daily insights into my daily quotes with my ace, where I give you a longer, deeper insight into my daily quotes for deeper secrets for your accelerated results. And today's quote says, when you can see cheap things are more expensive, there's nothing as expensive as cheap things. Oh my God. Every choice we take in life has a cost, and one of the most costliest choices is when you choose to go for cheap things. Apart from things, even cheap human beings. If you go for a cheap spouse, you pay the rest of your life. If you go for a cheap business partner, sometimes you pay with the loss of that business. If you go for anything cheap, the liabilities and the cost of maintaining that cheap choice can be more expensive than anything. So there's what we call insidious cost that is not pounds or dollars or naira. Most people think that the cost of things is just in pounds, dollars or nairas. I'm going to show you 6 costs that make cheap things very expensive. Number 1 is the utility cost. If this bike is meant to carry me from Nigeria to Los Angeles and the original Harley Davidson is sold for $1,000, but I buy the knockoff for $100, before I travel from Nigeria to Los Angeles, it might take me 3 days, while the Harley Davidsons will take me 3 hours, because the breakdown and repair and other issues that this cheap bike will give me on the way will delay my journey, which is the original utility. If I want to watch a movie and I need to understand what is happening in the movie, and I buy a cheap television that I can't even hear the sound, the utility I want to get, which is the enjoyment of the movie, will be more expensive because I'll lose a lot of utility. If you buy a cheap staff instead of hiring an expensive staff, and they are supposed to help you improve your work, because they are cheap, they help you complicate your work, they double the cost of your work. So utility cost is one insidious cost that cheap things have that make them expensive. The second thing is emotional cost. Apart from the cost in utility, that is what I'm supposed to use, the emotional frustration of using cheap things can be so painful that one time I knew that an original charger was sold for 1,500 naira, and I went for the cheap one of 250 naira, and the first day I plugged it, it got burnt on day one. And I asked myself, is this 250 only lasted for a day? If I was to buy one every day, it's more expensive. But that's not the question. Question is the frustration of having to stay the middle of the night without my phone on, and that was when I was very active with my phone. The frustration cost me more than 1,500 I would have paid for the original charger. So the emotional cost of cheap things is so high that sometimes most people you should avoid in your life are cheap people, and the most product you should avoid are cheap products. The second cost that makes cheap products very expensive is repair cost. When this bike is sold for 1,000 and you buy it for 100, you will make the mechanic your best friend, and that cost of going to the mechanic all the time, at the end of the year, if you check that cost, it might already be more than $1,000 or getting to $1,000. So when you buy cheap product, the cost of repair is something that you might not consider because you are doing it in little payments of different repairs. And if in a year you've repaired 20 times, when you multiply some by 20, you'll be surprised how much it is. The fourth cost that most people don't consider that makes cheap things expensive is replacement cost. If this bike is sold for $1,000 and I go for the cheap option, which is $100, probably an original Harley Davidson will take 10 years warranty before it spoils. But because you bought a cheap knockoff, in the first 1 month it might start getting spoiled, and after 1 year it might pack up, and you buy another one for $1,000. In 10 years you would have bought 10 of the knockoff and you have none because they've all spoiled. But the guy that bought one 10 years ago is still enjoying his bike, and you have replaced and replaced. So the cost of replacement makes cheap things very expensive. This fifth cost, which is as more important than all the other costs because it is your life, is time cost. Your life is your time, and that's why your life is called your lifetime. When you buy cheap products that waste time in efficiency and you lose time, that time you lost is so expensive that it's something you will never regain. You lose your utility, you can regain it. You lose your emotions, you can regain it. You lose your repair, you can gain it. You lose the product, you can regain it. But one time, once lost, can never be regained. And when you buy cheap products, they waste so much time in delivery that if you are driving a $1,000 car and I'm driving a $1 million car, probably get to my destination 3 hours before you, and you arriving 3 hours later, I've just lost 3 hours of your life that can never be replaced. The most important cost after time is the trust cost. When you buy cheap products and they fail, there are 3 people you stop trusting. Stop trusting yourself for making a good choice of identifying the original product. You stop trusting the market to sell you value for your money, and you stop trusting that product. Anybody that tells you any particular product is not good is because they bought the fake of the product. When you buy the fake, you say bikes are not good. But when you taste the original, the sound, the comfort, and everything you do, like, yes, bikes make your life better, and you can trust bike better tomorrow. And those that get the knockoff experience will never trust bike again. And that trust cost is also a priceless cost. So when you can see cheap things are cheaply so costly that they are more expensive than expensive things because they cost you the utility cost of the product, they cost you the emotional cost of your broken emotions, they cost you the repair cost of fixing them when they spoil, they cost you the replacement cost of buying a new one, they cost you the time cost of time wasted in your life by the product not being efficient, and they waste you your trust costs in your no longer trusting products, the market, and yourself to make a good choice. And remember, our quote for the day says, when you can see, cheap things are more expensive. So tell me in the comments below, which of these costs has most frustrated you in the past that made you regret buying a cheap product? For me, the one that frustrated me in the past was emotional cost. Imagine maybe you traveled and you bought a fake power bank, and then when it's a long journey and you get to where you need to use your phone and there's no other power source than that power bank, and it disappoints you, the frustration and the emotional dissatisfaction is more expensive than the power bank. So I would like to know which one has frustrated you the most, that has made you vow not to buy cheap things anymore. And not only cheap things prevents people from winning, there is a law that if you understand, you'll not watch others win, or you too will also win, and not sometime, but all the time. To see a video that will teach you that, click on the link above and I'll see you on the other side.
Hey, Lele, this is super duper amazing that you found my content valuable enough for you to watch till the end. Only 5% of exceptional people do that. You're exceptional, and I deeply love and appreciate you. Don't just watch to learn, watch to take action. And the first action is to subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of our daily value action. Remember, only doers are winners.